welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate. Thank you all so much for joining us on this crazy, lovely evening. I won't lie and say I am pretty tired after this weekend, but we are here with episode 80 talking about Rust Cup, the team tournament. We're going to just give a highlight overview of it. Probably not going to go into a ton of details. We will come back and have one or two of the team captains on the show going forward, or some people from some of the other teams. Probably next week or the week after. Depends on how quickly I can rile and wrap them up. We also are going to be talking about user submitted lists. We have 3 or 4 or 5 user submitted lists that I just felt seemed fun to go through. I like that piece. JJ loves that piece because then he gets to steal everybody's ideas and use them for himself. And then lastly, we're going to be talking a little bit about Siege of Coruscant list building. And we said we were going to do it. I'm committing to doing it. And hopefully we'll get out in enough time to be able to do a universe extended episode for some Tales of the Jedi. With that being said, let's bring JJ into the room. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm excited to go do some Siege of Coruscant out of the 2 scenario packs that we've gotten. This by far is the better one, I would say, just based on the pilots that came out for the pack, and the scenario itself seems a lot of fun. And yes, Desi, this is a haircut. I do cut my own hair. My hair is a little messed up because I haven't combed it or anything. But yes, it is a haircut. Yeah.
Doesn't he look spiffy? Spiffy. He's not wearing his Giants hat. We haven't figured out if he's disowned the Giants yet or not. He didn't like my my joke last time. So.
Yeah.
All right. So there's your Giants hat. I mean, it's funny you wear a beanie and it's not even cold where you are compared to Michigan.
Talking about it's North Carolina, dude.
Yeah, how cold is it there 20s. Right now? No, it's not. In the 20s. Yeah. Really? Yeah. No way.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. That's colder than Michigan right now.
Yeah, man. We get our cold over here. It's not as cold all the time as Michigan, but yeah, we get cold here, man.
All right. So to begin with, what I wanted to do is remind all the listeners and watchers that we have a survey out currently, and JJ will post the link in the description or into the chat in a few minutes. But we have a survey out about our last we called it our Academy 101 series segment where we were comparing chess and X-Wing together. So what I did is I put a quick survey together, and essentially what we're doing is asking people to say, okay, here you go. Tell us what you liked about it. Tell us if you listened to it. Tell us how you listen, and tell us what you would like to see as a new segment. We also threw some pre-set up pre-con segments inside of there for you to go ahead and select which ones you like. You can vote for as many as you want to vote for. And we just thought that would be a cool way. The caveat here, and if you missed our special announcement earlier this week, the caveat is if you enter your name and email address, you will be entered in for a raffle for some cool PPS prizes, Planning Phase Syndicate prizes. So we haven't determined what we're going to give it away yet. It should be worth $20, $30 worth is kind of what we were thinking in terms of prize support. I have been collecting stuff. Cards and things like that we will be starting to give away in the new year. As well as we will have a new Patreon announcement starting the beginning of the new year. If you want to help support the show, we are going to actually have some customized merch available in terms of tokens and cards that are my very own my very own Corey Heald will be helping produce for us after we recover from this weekend. So enough about that. Enough about all those fancy things. JJ, how was your weekend?
It was good. We actually went out yesterday to go explore out some of the local areas, some of the local trails around here. So we actually went out to one of the local lakes here to do a trail there with my wife and my daughter. Had a great time. It was nice and cold outside over by the lake. It actually went over a small dam, which was actually kind of cool to be able to walk across that. And and then just come home to realize that I haven't done that in like many, many years. My body's totally not prepared for that. So, and then basically crashed the rest of the day playing X-Wing most of the day, just trying out a bunch of these new lists. That man, there's just so many pilots, and there's just so many things to consider for like lists and stuff with the new packs.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you had a good weekend. What I want to do before we begin too far and go into Rust Cup or anything else, and this is going to take back before JJ was part of the show, and I apologize because Charles is not here, but I'm going to go ahead and we did something, and this may become like a once a month type segment that we used to do, and it was called Build Your Own Pilot. But the caveat here is we had to do something crazy, like just something out of this world. So what happened was we had a conversation between me, John, Charles, and Matt. And we had a conversation about what would happen if Luke was actually an agent for the Empire. What if he was evil? So I'll bring up our original poll. And this is like, I don't know how old this is. I don't know. Is there a way to tell how old this is? But this is an old poll that we had. We had put up way back when. Was if Luke was an Empire pilot, what ship would he be in? What would his ability be? And then we had like a question of, would you have any interest in this specific pilot? So we had 11 people respond. And like I said, I think this was like back in like the first 10 episodes, maybe first 20 episodes that we actually did. And it was basically based on this article that I believe it was Charles or John brought this up. But essentially, Star Wars is officially making Luke Skywalker an Imperial pilot, which kind of had to do with like the Lego reference and stuff like that. And back, if you remember back in Legends, Luke is actually an Empire an agent for the Empire. So
makes sense. I mean, this is around the time that Captain America came out as a Hydra agent, which they kind of spoofed a little bit. So yeah.
So what we did is I took some of the responses and my own, and I put him in there. So in the poll, out of all the ships, the TIE Interceptor was the ship that was chosen for Luke to be in if he was part of the Dark Empire. And yes, that is Luke the clone. That's why I put that one in there. So obviously, this card is not perfect. I forgot about this, and then I was prepping for the show, and I found all this information from like over a year and a half ago, and I was like, all right, I'm going to make this card really quick. And shout out, I don't know if Andrew created this template, but shout out to Andrew. He's the one that turned me on to this this GIMP template that I'm able to use. And so you're going to have to forgive. I didn't know how to use all of it, so I don't have all of the actions. The actions are the same as the actions on the Interceptor. They're not changing. It's the same thing. The difference is that Luke gets 1 shield and 3 force. So you still have the same auto thrusters action. But JJ, would you like to tell us what the 2 abilities on the card are that you're going to hate?
It's pretty gross. So the chassis ability, I'm assuming, is auto thrusters. After you perform an action, you may perform a red booster barrel action. And then it looks like his secondary ability is after you spend a force on an attack that hits, you regain 1 force. And then develop Sith Apprentice, which is another ability. At the beginning of the system phase, spend 1 force to perform an action, then only spend force on offense for the rest of your turn. And considering that this probably was written before Darth Vader Defender came out, that's actually pretty spot on. Like, I like that. I do not agree, however, with 3 force. You've got to be out of your damn mind to give a TIE Interceptor with a shield I6. I mean, unless he's like 14 points, and okay, fine, do whatever you want. But
7 points. That way I
Gosh.
can run him and Boy Vader together.
But here's the catch: he actually has no loadout whatsoever, no slots.
No,
He just has
no.
he has a reload action with no missiles or bombs or anything. So
that's just a mistake on my part. I couldn't figure out how to get all those things off there fast enough tonight. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to show everybody this just because I thought it was a fun thing. The I-6 interceptor with reloadable prockets. All right, Desi.
gross.
The only upgrade you can take is prockets.
That's gross. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Guaranteed 5 hits every other turn. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you're not adding any dice. Just the procket. It's not guaranteed.
You system phase target lock, and then you
can't because interceptors don't have that.
Oh,
Interceptors don't have that. You'd have to have targeting computer.
Targeting computer. Yeah.
So you just focus evading every turn.
Yeah. Okay. That's
if
fair.
you have no
That's
slots.
Fair. I mean,
if you do have slots, I'm giving you could we could. Oh, maybe we should make a standard loadout card with juke.
Yeah,
and reload.
Desi, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Tark and crew on a Reaper. That's how you get Luke. That's the target lock.
That's gross. That's really gross. Actually, stop it, Desmond. Stop ruining my card. Anyway, so we thought this was kind of a fun thing. This is what we did in the past. If you do like it, maybe I don't know what's the best way to poll people anymore. But anyway, I thought this was a fun segment. I just thought I found this and I wanted to create the card really quick because I was like, JJ's going to get a kick out of how degenerate like me and John and Charles and Matt were originally. And like, I still have the original episode doc with like all of our different opinions in it. So obviously mine is the biggest. Charles was, I'd put him in an interceptor, but give him the same X-Wing ability. But for offense, right? So that's kind of where some of that came from. Matt wanted him in the advanced X1. So while what's that?
Like his father before him?
Yes, like his father before him, who is somehow alive at the same time. I don't know. While defending, you can spend 1 force charge, 1 blank to an evade. So that seems pretty good.
That seems pretty good.
Mine was to have 3 force. But mine is to spend 1 force at the beginning of the system phase, and you perform 1 action. If you do, force can only be spent on an attack. The other option I had originally put in there is you could spend 2 force to perform 1 action at the engagement phase instead of the system phase, but then you could only spend force on defense. And I kind of like, that's why he had the 3 force originally. That was like the original idea behind it. We were going to give him light side and dark side upgrades.
No, gross. Heck no. See, I would
and a purple target lock. We were going to give him a purple target lock.
Heck no. I would have added the caveat that he cannot be in the list that includes Darth Vader, because obviously Palpatine would have replaced Vader with Luke.
That is true. We could put rule of 2. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so I had to bring this up and create this. I spent like 45 minutes doing this, so it's probably a waste of time, but I thought it was funny, and I just kind of wanted to bring people back into it. But if you want, anyway, back to our current survey. So all that was just supposed to say, hey, come engage in our survey. Because essentially we have different segments. These are the ones JJ and I kind of like suggested. And these are the kind of the ones that we have been toying around with and have some stuff written for them. But if you have an opinion and you want to give us like your own opinion, what you would think is nice, we would love to have that, because essentially we're going to determine, do we want a series or do we want just like a one-off type segment? And if it's something that's just like a one-off type segment, I'm going to tell you it's going to get put on the list, and it'll be 90% probable that'll get included. There is still like a little bit of a veto vote. If it's like crazy, like why should Torkel Mux be in every single list? Like I'm just going to veto that right now, just as a heads up. But you can, if you want to fill out the survey, the link's in the description of the show, and it'll be in the link on Twitch if you want to watch that as the replay. And again, don't forget, we have a raffle. This is going to be open for till the last week of December. We are going to reveal the results and kind of the direction and the raffle winner the first all right, I should double check that. Is the first Sunday, January 2nd? If it is, we probably will not do it on the 2nd. It's the first. So the first real Sunday in January is January 8th. And that's when we're going to finalize all the results. So make sure you have everything in to be drawn for the raffle before the 31st of December. After the 31st of December, submissions will not be considered for raffle. You can still submit your requests all you want, but the raffle piece is going to be closed at that point. And then we will announce all the changes and all the fancy stuff on January 8th. It's unfair, JJ?
Yep, that sounds great.
Yep. And remember, JJ and I have a bet.
That's right.
Yep.
I completely forgot what it was, but I have to watch back the last episode.
You forgot what our bet was? Oh my gosh. All right. So let's spend a few quick moments. Why don't we look at you can't really see it. Oh yes, you can. So currently Team Endgame and Team Fox for the Nickel City Draft League Season 2 is still up for grabs. The last game between CFIS and Fox is on the line. If CFIS takes it, Endgame will be home field advantage. If Fox takes it with a commanding lead, Fox will get home field advantage this playoff season.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tight right now, although I think Greg already foreshadowed that, we are going to have home field advantage. I believe it, I'm just waiting for the results to come in just to prove the prophecy true.
Yep. And it looks like Team Havoc and Team Tinder Gods, congratulations to both of you. Both Crispy and Nick will be facing down each other next week for the finals. And we'll be facing Team Fox with whether we don't know whether we're going to have home field advantage or not, but we will be finishing off. Congratulations to Mega Malkugian, CFIS, Payback, and NJO for an amazingly hard-fought season. I know sometimes these numbers don't look right, but there was so many games that were very close.
Yeah,
very
week.
Close games every week.
Yeah, every week it was always coming down to like the last game for most of these matchups between these teams, and it's pretty crazy when you look at even the spread of points that each player was getting. It's the deviation is very, very small. Like there's a very little gap between the top player and the lower player in terms of like points. So it's been really good to see that in 2.5 you don't see quite as many blowouts as we used to.
Yeah. Nope, and like I said, I think it was so far it's been a good run. We were very lucky to get in. How about that? Like I will not say that we were also on the fence this week. So
well, you could point to my game in particular on Thursday night, the miracle shot onto Kylo Ren that had one force from a weapons malfunctioned wolf. It was a shot that I can't believe it that I actually won that match. It was such a crazy game.
All right. Well, why don't we transition into some team event stuff? And we're going to talk just a little bit about my weekend. And again, I promise we're going to go more in depth. There's so much to unpack. And I have to correct myself from last week. I didn't quite understand how all the pairings and tournament stuff work. So we're going to go through a little bit of that. And then we're going to kind of talk about my experience and how well or how horrible I did this weekend. I will tell you, out of the 4 games I played, I had 2 1-point games. Like literally 1 point. It was literally the last action that was taken to win or lose each of those games. So it was crazy. So first things first. We in Grand Rapids, we are considered West Michigan. We are the West Siders. We have an East Side rival, however you say those words.
Rivalry, yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm very tired. Nobody, I don't sleep, and everybody gets up early at the Airbnb. So I had about 12 hours of sleep this weekend, plus whatever naps I got in the car. So there's always kind of been a rivalry. We had the Michigan GT, which ended in a tie between me and Staniszewski. It would definitely did not favor either side. We got to play the Best Spin Benchwarmers, which is the East Side team. And we won that round 4-1. I'm sorry. It was not 4-1. It was 3-1. There was one tie between our very own Zach and Alex Merle, who is probably going to be joining the cast in the next week or two to talk about Rust Cup, like the actual like statistics that I'm hopefully going to get about the Rust Cup. If not, he's going to be joining us just for the hell of it because I invited him on. So we went 3-1-1 for that round with them. But spoiler alert, our team was able to take the tournament at second place. So
nice.
Yay and nay, good and bad. But yes, we were second place. We were all very proud to be there. And you know those metal tokens that they gave out at Adepticon that Dion gave out? They actually cast tokens that are a little bit smaller in size, which is better. And they have an evade on one side and a calculate on the other side.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
Everybody got 2 just for participating in the whole event.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about the event. So the name of the event was called the Rust Cup. That was the name of the event. They are going to probably do one next summer or next winter. I hope they pick winter because summer, that place was very warm and it was cold outside. So we sweated all day in jeans and a t-shirt, but it was very warm. It was like 80 degrees in there the whole day. We didn't have to wear masks, thank God, because like that would have been like I would have been dead. Yeah.
Yeah, not being able to breathe in that kind of warm situation, it's gross. Yeah, that's why I hated it in Florida. Yeah.
So there, I think he just hated it in Florida because Florida sucks.
Poor Charles. Yeah.
Poor Charles. Poor Pim. Poor Charles. Poor Crispy. Anyway, so the way that the tournament worked, right, is you had to bring a team of a minimum of 5 people, and you had to bring 7 lists, though. You didn't have to play all the lists, but you had to bring 7 lists. No questions asked. What they did, and then we'll kind of get into some of the nuances of why we became second place over other teams in a second here. But essentially the way that the tournament works is 5 out of the 7 lists have to be played each round. Hence why you have to have 5 people. What would happen is you had to have your list preset, everything ready to go, just like a normal tournament, everything standard rules, all of that gibberish, same thing. What your captain would do is take 2 lists and go up to the opposing team you got paired with, and they would give you 2 lists and you would give them 2 lists. And that's how that would work. So that way you could pair whoever you wanted to those 2 lists, and they could pair whoever they wanted to the other 2 lists. So, for example, I was given up at least 2 to 3 times. So basically they said, hey, we don't care who you pair Tanner's list with. And again, our team was a little different because we had 7 people. So we all knew what faction we were playing. Like it wasn't even a question. It was just like Tanner's playing CIS and Corey's playing Resistance. We never swapped. Other teams would just hand lists, not players. So that was where like this weird caveat came in. Other teams, like, so for example, the Benchwarmers didn't have to have Corey play or Cody would play FO if they didn't want to. It would be beneficial to have him do that. But what they would do is hand their FO list over, and then that would get paired with somebody on their team. So that's kind of how like the beginning of the pairings worked. So you always had 2 people that kind of were the sacrificial lambs. And then you would take 2 of your team would then pick against theirs. So if I was a CIS handed over to them and Corey, so let's just say me and Corey are the two that got handed over. They could pair me with anybody on their team that they hadn't given us a list for, and they could pair Corey, to anybody on their team, any list, that they hadn't handed over. So let's say they gave us an Empire and a Separatist list. Me and Corey could not play against those lists because those were for us to choose. We would play either Rebel, which I played 2 Rebel lists. That was super fun. And anyway, that's how that would work. So then we would pair the other 2, and then the last list would be unknown, and you would just pair them. So then you would always have, so like what we were doing is me and Sean and Matt were the kind of the go-to guinea pigs, and D, like kind of in that order. So if me, Matt, Sean, and D, we would sit down, we would look at all the lists, and here, actually, I can bring up the list, or kind of bring up the list, so you can kind of see what the sheet looks like. So essentially, each of the teams, so like Freedom Squadron, would have this is their list. They would tell us what the list was, and then we would know these are all of the pilots in the list.
Interesting. Okay.
Which so I actually fought this list.
Yeah, so you wouldn't get any details on their loadouts. You just knew what the
No, we did. We had the Yasby links. We knew exactly what they were running in there. We didn't know who was running it though.
Okay,
out of their team. And our team, we already knew. Nobody knew that we did that though. Like nobody knew we weren't switching lists until the very end. I think somebody figured it out the very end. That they just have an individual person playing for each list, which we did. Like in fairness,
that's a smart way to go, honestly. Yeah.
And like so, because it's all of my locals, so we had Matt was running his GT list for the most part. D had a Morna, Vizier, Gideon, and Obsidian list. Zach had his Boba, Mando, Kanan, Scum list. Corey had Elo, Tally, Sefton, Zay, and Finn. And I hate Finn. Then Brendan ran the list he's been running for FO, like constantly. And then Sean had this, and by the way, this is a really good list. Just so you know, this is a really good list. I don't know if Sean, I think went 3-1 with his one loss being by 1 point. Just like me. But this stupid piece of crap SOC list for Republic is really good. Just as an FYI to anybody that wants to run Republic. And then this is my CFI list, or CIS list, which they called the Iron Assembler Minecraft Steve. Like that was like the thing. And to be honest with you, I've already talked to Corey. We're gonna create a promo card for the Iron Assembler, which I'm sure nobody wants, but we are gonna do that with Minecraft Steve on there somehow. I'm gonna have my daughter design like a Minecraft character for us. And we're going to call it the Iron Assembler, and we're going to make a card for it. Just so everybody knows ahead of time, we are making an Iron Assembler. And that's just for me. That's my personal, I pay for it, so I get to make the decision on that one.
See, for me, I would have done a Vulture with Iron Man colors. That's what I would have done.
We can make an Iron Man colored Iron Assembler Steve.
Yeah.
We could do that. Or maybe put a little Iron Man helmet in the bottom. I don't know if we get flagged for copyright. I guess we're not popular enough that it matters. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see our card. I have another story for you that's not related to Rust Cup, but remind me later about somebody selling promo cards. We're going to have a conversation about that at the end of the show because it's bullshit. Okay. And you're going to get a laugh out of this. But anyway, so what would happen is essentially they would say me and Matt, and they would say both of our 2 lists here, B and H column, here you go. You guys pair them with whoever you want. And then they would have to hand us, so like Freedom Squadron, what they would hand us is they would say, okay, here's our Scum list and here's our Resistance list. These are the 2. You guys pair your team, whoever the heck you want to pair up against it. So it was really cool. So in this one, I faced the Rebel list. I don't remember everybody else's pairings, unfortunately, right now. But I faced this Rebel list. And then so anyway, so then you would get paired with the 2, and then you would have one person left over. So let's say it's these 4 were predetermined. That means they have 3 lists left over, and then we would have 3 lists left over, and we would just get to say, okay, well, we're going to select Brendan's going to be our 5th anomaly, and they're going to select, like their CIS person to play them. And that's how the pairings would work. Here's the best part. You didn't know the scenario, by the way, at all. It was random. And you want to know how random it was? You want to know how many times I played Scramble?
3.
Yes. Out of 4 times I played Chance and Scramble. Yeah. Like, and I'm just sitting here every time it happened, I was like, oh, Scramble again. And it's like, yeah, no, that's my favorite one. It's okay. For my list, it's my favorite one. I actually hate that. I actually, not Scramble, I'm sorry. Assaulted a Satellite. It's a Satellite one. Yeah. I played Assault 3 times and Chance Engagement once.
Wow. That's a really good matchup actually for your list, not for nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you anyway, so that's kind of how the pairings would work. And then you would sit down, you would play, you would get wins. So basically the way they counted it is a couple of different things. If your team played and won all 5 scenarios, so or all 4 scenarios, so you had 5 players. So if 4 scenarios, you won the list with 4 of them, you got a special pin for it. So it was like a sub point is what we're going to call it. So your wins counted the most. And then these weird, unique identifiers were like your sub pins that you could get. So we did that 3 times, or they counted it 3 times, even though one time we tied. We did that 3 times because we had 2 rounds. We went 4-1, or 3-1 and 4-1, basically. So there was that. And then the second thing is you basically had to win or play with every one of your lists. So basically you couldn't not play with one of your lists. That was like and again, it was because their theory is that we'd have multiple 3 and 2s. And that was the tiebreaker. So we played with every one of our lists. So everybody on our team got a minimum of 3 games. Everybody did. We put everyone in for a minimum of 3 games. And then I actually played 4 games out of the 5. So I was hoping to kind of go to the bar early, but I didn't get to. I got benched my 4th game and then came back and played in the 5th game. Which I wish we did normal tournaments like that, where like you got to play 2 games and have a break for the 3rd game, come back and play another one. I felt so much better after I did that.
Yeah.
Like it was actually really refreshing. I was able to I sat down and played a game at Aces High with Count Dooku and got my ass handed to me. But Count Dooku doing too hard, I'm going to throw force at you. Too hard, throw force at you. Oh, you can kill me? I'm going to 1 bank and cloak. Oh, I'm getting 3 dice. Until you got a structural damage, and that was pretty bad. or they had blackout. They had blackout. So I was behind a rock cloaked, and they're like, yeah, you still only get 2 dice. I was like, oh, that was sad.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun event, man. I think that after being able to participate in Crate Cup, I definitely enjoy the team tournaments a lot. Even online, we doing the XVT the XTC event, helping that out this last season, and now Kuiper coming up next month. We have our team, right? We officially have our team, and we're going to be playing in Kuiper Cup as a team ourselves. So it's going to be really fun. I really enjoy these team events.
Yeah, and so essentially for this tournament, we did 5 rounds. There were 7 teams total. There was 5 rounds, and essentially there was a bye that happened every round. To get your win for the bye, though, so if you got a bye, you didn't just get a win. You had to come back and win the next round, or it didn't count. So let's say you were the team that got the bye round 1. If you didn't win round 2, you didn't get your bye win. It was super brutal. That was really, really brutal. We got lucky and didn't get a bye at all. We thought we were going to, but Best Spin got a bye for the last round for it. So they were not able to compete. So let me go through real quick, and I know this is probably boring for some people, but I thought this was really fun, and I had a really good time this weekend. And then maybe we could talk about some fun stuff and then get into lists. But essentially, the first round we played Freedom Squadron, and we went 2-3. So we lost that round. We had 2 wins. Then we had the second round we played Burning River, and we also had 2 wins, and 3 losses. So we lost that round. Then we came back round 3 and played Veteran Instincts. We won that round 4-1, and I was the one loss for that round. I felt so bad. I lost by 1 point in that one to a Rebel Han list, and it was right at, I couldn't kill frickin' Arvel. I killed Wes Jansen right away, but I just couldn't kill Arvel to save my life. No matter what I did, I could not get rid of Arvel, and I couldn't get rid of the other ship that should have died was their Saw U-Wing. And what happened was the way the board was set up, they brought Saw in towards the center. So here's Grievous, fly. Grievous does a bunch of damage. Then the U-Wing rotates, doesn't stop rotate, thinking that I'm going to go past him to go around. And I do a 1 hard while stressed and get another outmaneuvered range 1 shot. Take that bloody U-Wing down to almost nothing, right? Wow. Bring my Grievous all the way back around. So I'm in the center, go all the way through the center and back around. And I did a 3 straight, which I shouldn't have done. I should have done a 2 straight, but I did a 3 straight, and then I barrel rolled all the way to the left. And I don't remember if I went back or forward, and I missed like by millimeters getting the hit. He went 3 straight, and I missed it by millimeters. And it's all because I forgot he had a loose stabilizer. And if I had done the 2 and barrel rolled, I would have had him at least like for a shot and been able to go back around and get him. So because I couldn't take Saw off the board, it was the last round. I finally sent Django in to kill Saw, but he moved Han in and took 2 objectives. And that was, after I took 1 objective, and then he was able to, he lost Saw, and that was the end of Saw. But still, like it came down to the wire for that one. Then the 4th round we played Bespin, the Eastsiders, and we won 3-1-1. And then the last round we played Steel City, and we won 4-1 in that one.
Nice.
And that was the same thing. Corey had a very hard. I know why Charles hates Soontir Fel. Soontir Fel lived on 1 health for half the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Soontir Fel is just notorious for either living the entire game with the dice or dying on turn 1 from range 3 obstructed.
Yeah, golly. That's my luck with Soontir, but that guy definitely had Corey's number with that scene. It was so bad, and that was so bad. So anyway, so yeah, we came in second out of everybody. And essentially, no team went undefeated. Everybody, we had 15 total wins. The team that won had 13 total wins. So, we were, if we had won our first round or our second round, we would have won the whole thing. So we were pretty close. But I think everybody else was. And I think what did it is because we were able to take a bunch of the scenarios on multiple turns, and then we were also able to play all of our lists more than one time. So, like I said, everybody on our team got at least 3 plays. So, it was just easier that way, and it made everybody feel, it felt good. It didn't matter who you were. We did a little bit of prep that not everybody else did. We went through everybody else's list and ranked it good, bad, or neutral. That's what we did. We put quite a good bit of prep into this, but it was fun. And it was kind of cool. And I will tell you, the non-X-Wing stuff, I did end up getting, I have health issues a little bit, and they ended up flaring up at the end of Saturday. So that kind of sucked. But I mean, Friday night was fun. We played this board game called The Saboteur. I don't know if you've ever played it before.
Yeah.
It's you have your miners and saboteurs. we played that twice, 3 times that this weekend, and we've learned in our local group who's a good saboteur and who's not. I am not. I helped the miners when I shouldn't have. And you can ask Zach. Zach's like, who's the other saboteur? Nobody knows. And I was like, it's me. I'm sorry. Like I
But
helped them win.
that's what makes a good saboteur, is that you deceive them in thinking that you're helping them, when all of a sudden you strike at the best moment possible.
I know I just struck too late. And it was funny. It was funny because we were accusing each other all the time. Who's the saboteur? Who's not the saboteur? And we were like the last game we were preemptively like putting like there's these cards that stop you from laying mine cards and stuff like that. Yeah. and like I just randomly picked somebody and said, "You're the saboteur." They're like, "Fuck you!" And so they decided to go after me, and then I actually was the saboteur. So they got it right. So then I couldn't play cards down to screw with them, and then I couldn't clear my name, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So, yeah, we ended up losing. Zach and I did, but that was after they decided to throw a wild card and take one of the cards, and basically one of the cards. So like normally when you have like 6 people, there's only 2 saboteurs. So Sean went to bed, and we had 3 saboteur cards in there. So what we did is shuffled them, dealt them out, and had 1 left over and didn't tell anybody. So round 2, we ended up with 3 saboteurs versus 3 miners, and all the saboteurs sat next to each other. So like once they started figuring it out who it was, like they won that one very easily.
Yeah.
So other than that, I don't know. It was a fun weekend. I enjoyed myself quite a bit. It was fun to connect with people that I play X-Wing with, and I can understand why people say, "Hey, why do we like going to these tournaments to reconnect with people?" Like we got to hang out with the everybody from the East Side, which almost never happens, and they got to Corey's gonna hate me for saying this, but they got to make fun of Corey quite a bit for a couple of times that they've played, because I've only been playing for 2 years, and I've only really been playing against the East Siders for a year since we've been back in person, but not Corey. There's some stories about Corey where he's flown 2 full health Alpha X-Wings off the board in a tournament against one of them. So anyway, so it was a fun time. There's a lot of old stories, and there's lots of kinship, and even afterwards it was funny because we essentially all went out to dinner afterwards, and then some of the locals that were playing in the tournament came out and had dinner with us as well, and that was kind of fun to get to hang out with people outside of just saying, "Hey, we beat you," or "You beat us" type stuff. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's probably the best part of X-Wing, is the after tourney like festivities, just going out to eat, and just having fun with all the players outside, and just having a great time.
all right, you ready to build or look at some lists?
Let's do it, man.
So I think we've I don't know if we're going to get to the SOC ones or not. We'll find out.
We will.
We will. All right.
We will.
So we wanted to do a community list building segment, and I think this is JJ's favorite segment, like hands down. This is what JJ lives and breathes and dies for. So we had somebody post in the chat list, and so I said, "Hey, if we're going to do one, why not do a couple of them, right? Like, why just stop at one?" So we're going to start with Ani Yeager's Tyranny list. JJ, would you like to tell us what's on that list?
So this is a first order list. We have Agent Tyranny that came out in the new Hot Shots and Aces 2-pack in the Z-Class shuttle with Proud Tradition, Center Buoy Suites, and Kylo Ren crew. Follow-up is Jewel Gergerod in the TIE Bomber with Feedback Pink, Concussion Missiles, Skill Bombardier, and Proton Bombs. Then we have Scorch in the Bomber as well with Feedback Ping, Concussion Missiles, and Proton Bombs. Backdraft in the TIE SF with Proud Tradition, Fire Control System, Concussion Missiles, and the First Order Ordnance Tech. And then we have Commander Malaris in the TIE FO with Cluster Missiles to round off the list here. This is a very solid list here. I definitely like having these 4 ships available here to back up Agent Tyranny. to go in there. It's kind of very reminiscent of the old meta for First Order, having these two First Order bombers going in and being able to drop bombs there. For those not familiar with Joel Jarjarod's ability, he's able to perform that boost action, kind of like Daredevil, and can get those get the rear arc into a really good spot to drop those proton bombs off. Kylo Ren crew on Ancient Tyranny, I was kind of thinking of it. So Kylo Ren crew basically gives the ability for the TIE silencer for Kylo Ren. You can assign the dark side condition to an enemy, and if they suffer a crit, then they flip that particular crit, and it can go through the shields, even if they have shields and they suffer a crit. That's pretty interesting, especially when you're considering like salvage mission or scramble, for instance. You can assign them a panic pilot, and if you get a single crit through, even if it's under the shields, they get double stressed, and they're not able to do any scenario actions, and or like pick up a crate or scramble transmission, and that can actually be pretty good. I like that.
So I actually did too, and I did not know Kylo Ren crew existed. I'll be honest, like I did not know that was something that genuinely existed until this game. Until they sent over this list. So um I am all for that. I don't know about the sensor buoys. That I'm not sold on those as an upgrade, to be perfectly honest with you.
So the purpose for the sensor buoy suite is to combo with feedback ping, because they serve as a device
Yep.
that can help set up a target lock for Scorch and Jewel Jarjarod on the bombers there. And then beyond that, Agent Tyranny is just able to jam from a long distance or grab a target lock from a longer distance.
Yeah. And I do agree, like, with that. I just am not sold that those things live very long. Like, just to be honest with you, because if you put them on your opponent's side of the board, they get ousted pretty quickly. Um, like, for example, if when Brendan would put them, he would either have them on his side of the board and move too far past them, or he would have them on partially on my side of the board, and I would, even with my droids, I would slow roll and just try to kill them. I even spent an energy shell once killing a buoy just because it's on a rock that I wanted to sit on.
Yeah.
You know,
For me, it's because I've had quite a bit of experience. We had a team tournament last year around this time. I forget what it was, where I ran First Order, and I had Tefson with sensor buoy suites, and then Kylo Ren and Blackout. The sensor buoy suites actually worked extremely well for me, and the way I played them is keeping them towards the center of the board. I would always have an obstacle towards the center, and then the opposite of where I was planning to deploy with Tafson, so that way I could fly towards that direction. So that would always give me a passive target lock for whenever I needed it. So it does take a little bit of practice, and of course it also does depend on the list that you're flying against. Droids definitely want to target those to take them out, but I think that it's still a solid upgrade.
yep. The other change. There's two other changes I would make. One on Malorus, since we're going for the Kylo crit chain type stuff, I actually would put Magpulse on Malorus.
Yeah.
Because she's
Absolutely.
an I5.
Yeah.
And then on top of her being an I5, she can do that crit with, start that crit chain type stuff. So,
yeah.
I think, I don't know. Like, I won't. How about this? Malorus with Magpulse, whether Kylo's in the list or not, is, in my opinion, to the most part, better. Especially if you have if you have 3 concussion missiles that you're shooting. That cluster missile is not going to be as good as Magpulse. The other thing I would change is I would not put the First Order ordnance tech at all on Backdraft.
So I do want to have a conversation on that, because
Yep.
I have a preferred way to set up Backdraft, but I'm curious to see how you normally would outfit Backdraft.
Well, I would either do DT798, which I can't remember the kid's name from
Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there. I would probably put them on, or Special Forces Gunner. In that list, I think if you want to maintain everything else, you use DT-798, because now you're handing out strains, and your concussion missiles are a lot more guaranteed to hit. How about that? Um,
Okay.
that's kind of how I would do those things. Especially
Yeah.
if you're going to leave the feedback ping. I don't know if I like the fire control either, but that's just me. You only give out strains to allies.
For DT. Hang on, let me pull up that
It
part.
says you may choose a friendly ship in your firing arc. If you do, that ship gains a strain. I don't know. Like I feel I don't know. I get that it gives the strain to the bombers or whoever you give it to. Like Agent Tyranny probably doesn't care if she has it, right? Like I don't know if she cares. Um I don't know. You could switch to you could drop fire control and go to special forces gunner, and that's like that's the way I've ran backdraft is with special forces gunner, but I've also not ran concussion missiles on backdraft ever. Like at all. Normally I run backdraft naked and I would use pattern analyzer instead of concussion missiles. And I only say that
Yeah.
because pattern analyzer allows backdraft mobility with proud tradition that you're not you could take target lock focus and pattern analyze the target lock and then focus with proud tradition. So
Yeah.
I normally would not run concussion missiles. I do understand in this list why you want to, right? Um so I think that's kind of a I don't know. I think it's a toss up. To me, I think I would dump concussion missiles and add pattern analyzer, and then I would probably dump FCS and put special forces gunner, or put the DT-798 on there and keep FCS. One of the two. Because I guess if you keep FCS, you don't have to spend your target lock if you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just having that passive reroll for a single die is just really good, just so you can conserve that target lock. I do agree with you with your build out for backdraft. I do like the pattern analyzer combo with Pro Tradition, especially once backdraft already gets past an enemy list to keep that rear arc to shoot out the back for backdraft's ability, being able to turn around to keep time on target is very critical, or even doing the hard one on the TIE-SF style to trigger pattern analyzer and Pro Tradition without having to turn around is very very good on those TIE-SFs. For the gunner slot, definitely agree with you. Either Brooklyn or the Special Forces gunner, either one is really good. I do get the drawback for the putting the strain on a friendly, but typically for that, I would normally put a strain on a friendly that's probably already had no other shots going in there, or is bumped against another ship that only has a range 0, so you can kind of pick and choose. And it is a May ability, so if you're able to get it, it's great. If not, you don't have to use the ability, and it can still do some work there. So yeah.
All right. So there you go, Ani Jaegers. There is that. Next up, we have Sandy with a double Desi. JJ, what is this 3-ship list?
It's pretty interesting. So the first one we have here is a Rear Admiral Shiranu in the VT-49 Decimator. Here he comes equipped with Ruthless, Darth Vader crew, Minister Tua, 000, and BT-1. Then we have Captain Oiken with Ruthless, Death Troopers, Fifth Brother, and the Dauntless title. And then Second Sister, who's the new TIE Interceptor pilot from the Hot Shots and Aces Pack 2, with Juke and Shield Upgrade with Sensitive Controls to round off that list there. Really interesting. This is a variant of the Morning Key list. Rear Admiral Shirnu being able to attack at I-5, especially with Vader and Tua on there, is really nice. You can essentially use 000 first to give out a strain, or sorry, give out a stress or take a calculate. Darth Vader being able to strip away tokens from an enemy ship, or give them automatic damage if they have no tokens. And then BT1 Gunner, if they take the stress, instead of giving Chernu the calculate, to make those criticals go through really well. And then Oiken being able to stay in and basically deny you from taking off your stress with Death Troopers, and being able to push crits with Fifth Brother is really really good. And Second Sister just coming in after all that, being able to juke your tokenless ships, it's a really spicy list. It's good.
Yeah. So the only thing I would say is I some wonder if you could change Oinkin to Morniki. Um, and I'm a little confused on the Ruthless. Other than I guess if you run the two Desis next to each other,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
It's just a guarantee that you're getting this. It's a very aggressive offensive build. Yeah.
yeah, like this you have to guarantee you're gonna burn down the opposition, because I don't think this does well at all in objectives. Like maybe outside of Assault,
Yeah.
it probably does really well.
Yeah, Salt it definitely does very well, but in terms of like salvage or even scramble, actually no, I think it'll do good in scramble, but with salvage, you're definitely struggling to get crates. So yeah.
Yeah. Like the scramble I think is fine. Like scramble, because I mean you don't need your action per se, because you have force points no matter what. And Rack always has some sort of a mod. Um I don't know. I like it. I don't know if I would do the Fifth Brother Gunner personally. I almost would probably reutilize some of those points, but I could see why you would want that Fifth Brother Gunner on there, for the pure fact of pushing that extra crit through, which in a lot of places are really good. And this is somewhat my take on Second Sister as well. I like this build, because with Second Sister you're always just taking that evade every single time, and because you have passive mods. And I think I haven't seen anybody put Second Sister on the table yet, but it's on my list of ships I want to try. And I'm stupid, I should have brought that for Aces High this weekend and just played that instead. That would have been fun.
Yeah, exactly. So some hot news developing right now over in the Nickel City League. It looks like Manny has beaten Matt Murch for Team Fox to end that series. They just posted 19-15.
For who? I'm sorry.
Team Fox has lost their last round.
They did. Wow.
Hmm.
Hey, good job, Manny. Good job. You helped.
Yeah.
You helped. You helped out Team Endgame without meaning to. So that concludes the league, then, right?
Yeah, that would conclude the week there. Yeah.
All right. Well, we obviously will be covering that next week too. So especially if we
Yeah.
lose. So if we lose, we'll be having a reflection back on it. But anyway, let's not think about that. Let's think about us winning, and how many times JJ is going to actually win this week. So we got
Oh,
to
I
get our
mean,
dubs. Got to get our dubs, JJ.
yeah. I mean, I got a tournament to practice for this weekend as well. So, I mean, yeah. No worries. So the next one here is brought to us by Deslin here from the chat. Here it's another Empire list that we have here. It's a 5-ship Imperial Salad. Starting with my new favorite TIE fighter that I've been using a lot is Magna Tolvin with Squad Leader HLC. We have Seven Sister in the TIE Advanced V1 with Brilliant Invasion, Elusive, Crackshot, Fire Control System, and Concussion Missiles. We have Second Sister and the TIE Interceptor with Malice, Predator, and Shield Upgrade. Iden Versio with Elusive, Ion Cannon, and Juno Eclipse with Marksmanship, Pattern Analyzer, and Fire Control System to round off the list. Really solid. This is a very tough list to pin down, especially when you look at the V1 and the Interceptor with Seventh and Second Sister. Seventh Sister really, really hard to take down with Brilliant Invasion and Elusive, and the ability to take an evade. It is a really interesting list. If you're not familiar with Magna Tolvin, it is a 3 point TIE fighter that can take squad leader. The ability allows for Magna to coordinate one of her friendly ships, and then as soon as she receives a stress, she is able to perform a white action, which you can use to either do a scenario action, like claim a salvage token, or do a scramble action, and you're giving out tokens left and right. It is a very very good ship to coordinate, and it's very cheap at 3 points.
All right. So so okay, let me get this right. Let me get this. Cuz she can perform white actions up until she's got 2 stress, right? So you can 3K or 4K, no
Mhm.
questions asked.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes,
And then still take a
regular
action.
action. Yeah.
Yep. So how do you get the coordinate from red to white?
So, assuming that she starts off not stressed, right? The squad leader upgrade is a red coordinate action. So the second she coordinates, she gains that stress from the coordinate action, which gives her now the ability to perform a white action because she just received that stress. So after she does that coordinate, then she could take a focus or invade or do a scenario action. After she does that, she does a blue maneuver, removes the stress, rinse and repeat.
Okay, so you 3K and then but how do you I don't
If you do a 3K, you can't do
okay. Okay.
the coordinate because at that point that's still a red coordinate. But if you're
Okay.
not stressed, that's when you're able to pull off that combo. So yeah,
I see. So you can just go one forward or the two forward or whatever, the three forward and or a three bank or any of the hard menu. You can one hard
hmm
and then you would be able to do the squad leader, coordinate. You then get whatever you coordinate. So if you coordinate a focus, you get a focus.
hmm
If you coordinate a target lock, well, you wouldn't get a target lock because you don't have one. So you would coordinate a focus, I guess, is what you're
yeah,
doing.
or an evade or barrel roll,
Yep.
and put that on there. Or you can put a targeting computer on there and coordinate a target lock as well with
And
squad leader.
and then I
Yeah,
see then after you do that, you get whatever the action you coordinate is, and then after that you can perform another white action so you
no,
could get
so
a focus.
you would get just the coordinated action and then your choice of whatever white action on your action bar at that point after you do that red coordinate.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So if you coordinate a focus to let's just say Seven
seven
Sister,
sister. Yeah,
you're coordinating a focus. She gets a focus token. You get a focus token, and then you could take a
no,
normal action for an
no,
evade.
you're confusing it with the Psy, like Lieutenant Psy in the shuttle. She's able to just do that coordinate action, and then when she receives a stress token, at that point, that's when she's able to do an action herself. She doesn't get the token for whatever she
Okay,
coordinated. She
I see.
just is able to give that action. Yeah,
I see. So she's given an action, but only whatever's on her bar. She doesn't also get it. Okay. So
yeah,
not as
mhm,
broken, not that broken then. Like I was a
yeah.
little worried there that she could be able
No, no.
to like
Yeah,
to,
right. A 3 point Psy. No, thank you. Get that
okay.
out of here, bro.
All right. I feel a lot better. I feel better.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Now,
Um
for the loadout for Seven Sister, what are your thoughts on it?
outside of the crack shot, I like it. Like I like the brilliant evasion and I like the elusive a lot. Um I don't the concussion missiles, I don't know. I've just always been fond of prockets on them, but that's just me. And I know that's stupid, really in the long run of things. Prockets are not what you probably should put on them, but that's just what I'm used to from 2.0. I don't like the crack shot personally because I don't think I would get crack shot off that often. But that's just me. I do like brilliant evasion and I do like elusive because it keeps them alive a lot longer. I would
Yeah.
probably put trick shot if it were me, and then I would probably put trick shot and mag pulse on her. But that's just a personal preference of wanting to have
So,
something that's an I4 that's a crit dealer.
So for trick shot, what are you giving up? Brilliant evasion and elusive, or
No,
brilliant
your
evasion and
concussion
crack shot?
missiles go down to mag pulse, so you save a point,
Okay,
and then
okay, that makes sense.
you bump up crack shot to trick shot.
Okay,
And I don't think
all
you're
right.
going to get trick shot off that often, personally. But I think being able to roll a native 3 dice when your mag pulse is gone, if you would rather, is pretty good. So
For me, I think doing malice on Seven Sister with like Predator gets gets it really efficient. I think for that because you're able to regen that force if you're able to draw that pilot crit, but at the same time you also want to use Seven Sisters ability. So I almost want to go juke as well on this particular platform. But at that point, you have to sacrifice three of your. I mean, you could sacrifice the missiles, but it's just not as efficient at that point. Um, I almost do prefer Predator over Crackshot, just to give Seven Sister the best possible chance to use her ability, which is also a Crackshot. Um, but being able to cancel two results with Crackshot and her ability is pretty good as well.
it
So I don't
is.
know. I'm kind of like tossed up in the air because she could be a really good anti ace if you're able to line up that Crackshot up really well. You can put in some serious damage. But it does require a lot of work, which you do have Magna to provide you with those tokens, which you can link into like a barrel or a boost before you move, and then just like target lock up if you need to. But yeah, that is pretty good.
And see, and that's why I had thought about the trick shot type thing, right? Because you can
Yeah.
go right behind that obstacle and then barrel roll before your next turn. You know,
Ah, that's true. Yeah, like a sensitive control almost. Yeah,
Yeah. Again, it's a little bit more work. We're
yeah,
putting a lot of work into doing it, but once or twice a game, okay, once a game, I think is pretty dope, right? Because you're like people will not expect that type of thing. I also want to say, do you want a spicy take on Iden?
yeah.
I think we should stop running ion cannon on Iden.
Okay. What do
I,
you replace?
um, again, you could be a dick and put juke on Iden. You
Hmm,
just lose.
okay.
You're losing your 3 dice shot, but you could put juke on Iden and elusive, and you always take the evade. You always have juke, and you always have elusive ready. It just seems pretty dirty to me. Like, do you want your Iden to live longer? There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than that, yeah, I think, like I would have to play the Juno Eclipse a little bit more, but I think that's a pretty solid build. The pattern analyzer, and the nice thing is Magna can go with Juno or Seven Sister. It doesn't really matter. She
Yeah,
literally
exactly.
can go either which way. Because if you give Juno a focus and the target lock and can do a 3, Talon, like that's pretty good. You know,
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know.
Now,
So
what are your thoughts on Junior Eclipse? I've been like working on different loadouts for her, and I can't really settle on which one is the best one for her. What are your thoughts on Juno?
uh I like that it's 4 points. I wish it had a little bit more loadout, I
Loadout?
guess.
Mhm.
That's really I would like her to have 12 loadout. That's what I would like.
Yeah,
But other than that, I find it pretty decent. And it's only because your talent slot just becomes nothing. How about this? If you gave her one more loadout, I would probably be happy because I could take elusive. So
yeah,
um but I would really like to have a few more loadout points to allow me to take passive sensors um with it.
I mean, she's an I5, so I don't know if you really get much use out of passive.
I think you do.
Um, I think see now the one upgrade that I've been really like debating on Juno is prime thrusters, but that pretty much eats up. Actually, I don't think she can take it now that I think about it. Yeah, let me check the cost.
Of what? Prime thrusters?
Yeah,
But
prime
isn't that
thrusters.
like 8 points or something like those? 6 points?
Let's see here.
I think it's 6 points.
It is 6 points. Yeah, 6 points in. That leaves you space for fire control system. and that essentially allows Juno to do a 4K or 3 Talon and still be able to use her ability.
Yeah. I think that's okay too. I think I would play with that. I think if we gave her 1 or 2 more loadout points, we're fine. Um, Giving her 12, it's probably me being selfish, but I don't. If she goes up to to a 5 point ship, she never gets play. You would never take her. I could take Seven Sister. I could take Second Sister. No, like I'm not gonna take Juno over either of those for the most part. I've watched Juno die very quickly. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's go to a Seppi list with, oh my gosh, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 bombers. Crispy, what are you brewing here? We have a outmaneuver standard loadout Grievous. Then we have 2 SOC droids. One is the 404, one is the 32C. Then we have 3 bombardment drones with proxies and independent calculates. And because AMG said, "Hey, you don't have to take the standardized loadouts for all these. You can run indies and run the COC or SOC loadouts." JJ, what do you think about this list?
I think this is really good. This is a really good list to do a lot of objectives on. It's a lot of beef. I mean, you got, let's see, just in the bombers alone, 25 health to go through for all those bombers, and then you got General Grievous that you got to deal with, who's going to be outmaneuvering you. It's definitely a list that can do a lot on the field. And man, I mean, just those proximity mines alone, that's going to be tough to go through. Not to mention DBS being able to jam you after it gains a calculate, and 404 being able to use those APTs for great effect. And if you blow one of them up, you're going to set up 32C to get into a target lock position to launch the plasmas, or a 404 to be able to launch that proton torpedo at you. It's going to be just a lot of bad choices. Man, Crispy likes to make these lists. It's really good.
Yeah, I would like to I will play that. I don't own 5 bombers, but I would play this online. I only own 3 because I've never ran 5 before. I've never put 5 bombers. I used to run 3 bombers and 4 droids or something like that back in 2.0. I think this would be decent like at objectives. So I'm going to say that like I actually think this is a pretty semi-competitive list to some extent. I would have to put it on the table to play with it, but you have, 5 bodies that can do multiple things and can be independent of each other. So, really, your 404 and your 32C, they just have to be at range 3, I believe, of each other. So, really, you set one up on the side and one down the center, or 2 down the center, and then your bombardment drones are all independent. Like, it doesn't matter. You put them wherever you want. And if your opponent goes after Grievous, you have 5 droids taking objectives or coming in to murder you. So, and if you think about it, with the way that those override locks work, you're not really putting 404 and 32C on rocks for very long. It's really, you're putting them on there to get on them and then clear them and go off them. That's what you're doing with it. And yes, I played a little bit of 404, so that's how I ran 404. Is I would go throw them on the middle of the rock, and then the next turn I would leave the rock and save that extra charge for another turn.
For another emergency turn. Yeah.
That makes sense. And then I use 404 as somewhat of a blocker / the ability to, like, usually I'm getting the initiative, so I'm moving first, taking my target lock, and then I have other people sharing calculates. I will say I would test this list without independence, though, just to see what it does, because then you can now share. So you can run each 2 bombers together, and then the third one can kind of float and do whatever you want. So I would test this without indies and see if it works too.
That's fair. Would you, I think but then I was thinking the 311 droid to pass along calculates, but that really reduces the effectiveness of it. But yeah, I would definitely like to just see how it works without independence.
Look, I don't think DFSS 311 should just be 2 points. Once they move that to 3 points, we're fine. Or 2 points, then we're fine. Until they do that, it's not. That vulture is not worth 3 points. Period.
Yeah.
All right. So I threw a list in here for JJ to critique me on, or anybody else in the chat that wants to critique me. I would like to run some Tri-Fighters. I own 4 of them. I actually own 5 of them because I was super smart and bought a bunch of Tri-Fighters when they came out. So I thought it would be fun to run 3 of the SOCs, the Phalanx and the 347, and then run Dahlen Voss with Notorious, Magpults, and Overtune modulators. Not Indy calculates. No Indy calculates on those ships. Then run Dirge with Proton Cannons, Treacherous, and because I don't have Grievous, I'm going to throw Grievous on there. Because the theory is Dirge can fly behind other ships, give them a strain, have ships between them, always giving out Treacherous. If somebody dies, gets Treacherous back. If somebody dies, you get Grievous back. So you could in one turn get 2 extra damage canceling effects with Dirge. And then on top of that, Dirge has their own life force that never works for me, but works for a lot of other people, I found out. Just not me. And then 2 droids, the Iron Assembler and DFS 81, both with energy shells for the output. I think this is a moderate alpha strike. Again, Dirge, you could drop Dirge and take the 2 droids, or you could drop the 2 droids and take Dirge. So that's kind of the idea is, do you want 5 ships or 6 ships?
So your main thing is Dirge or the 2 vultures, correct?
Yeah, I'll either take. Yeah, I think I want to. I will argue that you could drop any one of the Tri-Fighters and have kind of like a mixed initiative list, but like, the DFS the DFS 37, like that's the one that I think that's an I4, but I think those Phalanx are 5s. I think Dahlen is 5, or Valen is 5, and Dirge is 5. So you could drop any one of these ships and take 2 droids if you would like.
Yeah, I see. So that is a tough call. So the 347 Tri-Fighter, he's an initiative 3 that costs 4 points. I would actually drop that one in favor for Dirge, because I do like Dirge as the potential for being the crate carrier in salvage, as the objective carrier as well for most of the different matchups that you have on there. And then having the 3 initiative 5s between Valen and Flax, being able to go out and take out ships as needed. And then the vultures also can serve as those objective grabbers on there. So you have a good 6-ship list in that way, being able to grab a lot of objectives and put out a lot of offensive output that way. I think that's probably the better call. If not, I would, if you do decide to drop somebody else, I think dropping Dirge in favor for DIS T81, the standard version, not the Siege of Coruscant version, because you're able to still use your friendlies calculate tokens to modded shots, and it doesn't require them to have or not have independent calculations. Like if you're flying nearby one of the vultures that's double calculated, it can use those calculates for its mods on offense and defense. So it's definitely very versatile in that way. And it has 12 points where you can put in a shield upgrade and fire control system and predator, and you're good.
Yeah, I just want to make some tries work. I just want tries to be good again. Like, you just really want something different for CIS. Like, after this tournament, like, I've been running the same CIS list since September. So I either need to switch factions and run like things that are not CIS, which I think is really where I need to do, or I need a new CIS style type list. Like, and the idea behind this is we don't have Django anymore, right? You know, is Django worth 2 of those tri fighters? Probably not. But if this did work, this is a list without Grievous per se, real Grievous, and Django, and that seems, I don't know, that seems pretty cool. So
Yeah, I think going like dropping the 347 try is the way to go, and you got a very very solid list. I actually, if I had one more try, I would probably run this list in person. If not, I think I'm going to give this a go on TTS. This is really really good.
all right, the last list we had, oh, it's JJ's. JJ submitted a list because he saw I submitted a list, so he's like,
I
I
had to,
gotta
man.
do that.
I was feeling
Ah,
left out, man.
all right. So we're gonna deal with JJ's left out list here. What is on your list, buddy?
All right. So I was messing around with some of the newer pilots here, and I wanted to kind of come up with something that wasn't quite like a Rebel Alpha Strike. So the first one, the list that I landed on is 3 X-Wings and a Z95. So the first one here is Wedge Antilles, so just regular Wedge with Snapshot, Predator, Plasma Torpedoes, and the foils. Wes Jansen with Snapshot R4 Astromech spare parts canisters and the servo motor foils. Luke Skywalker with Shattering Shot, Elusive, Proton Torpedoes, R3 Astromechs, and the foils. And then Iron Kraken with Snapshot. Now, I know what you're saying. Snapshot is a crappy upgrade. I completely understand your objection there. However, there's a reason why I've put it on here. Specifically for Iron Kraken, getting that snapshot triggered his ability on there because his ability works when he performs an attack. So you're able to set up Iron to get that ability off on another ship. Hopefully, if you get that snapshot on an initiative 4 or lower, you're able to get that red action and then help mod one of your other ships with like a focus or a target lock early. And then once he engages again, he can give off another red action after that happens because it is not limited to once per turn. Wes Jansen, his ability also triggers whenever he performs any attack. So you can do an early snapshot to jam somebody once they move to prevent them from having a target lock or a focus. And you're able to get that off early to make sure that they're not modded or they stay unmodded to help set up a shot for Luke or Wedge to go in and get a good shot into that unmodded ship for later on to follow up. I decided to put it on Wedge because Snapshot does work with his ability, so he can basically shoot at a ship with 2 dice, and they have to roll 1 less, and it's unmodded. So you could get some potential early damage from Wedge and potentially set up a good shot for somebody else. So that's why I put it on there. He still has plasma torpedoes, which is really good on Wedge, especially if you're taking that first shot into a heavily shielded ship. Wedge is more than likely to get that plasma torp to go off, and it acts as good as a proton torpedo, being able to get rid of that extra shield, and then have the follow up shots from Luke and Wes and Iron. So that's why I kind of set it up that way. For this high initiative thing, you have 3 I5s and I6 to take on.
So the only thing I would change on Wedge is I would dump Predator, and I would put that the 2-point astromech that allows you to do 2 blue maneuver, basically 2 reduced basic maneuvers instead.
It's 3 points. It's 3 points now. You're thinking
What?
R4 astromechs. Yeah, it's on Wes. Wes has the R4 astromech as 3 points.
No, I thought there was a 2-point astro.
Now, the last points update, they changed it.
Well, that's stupid. Okay,
Yeah.
that's probably good, but
Yeah, and then the other 3 points that I couldn't really decide what to do was spare parts canisters on Wes Jansen. It doesn't really work in terms of like recharging any charges on the ship, other than to just help break locks in a jam if Wes needs to like leave. Having the ability to just use that spare parts canister to break all the locks and have a potential cloud to help boost his defense is pretty nice.
so you're right there. You could run Chopper, I guess. I only say that because Predator doesn't work with torpedoes is all.
No, it's just whenever you get into that range one shot, you have that predator just for mods and have a focus.
So what if you dropped spare parts in R4 and took ion torpedoes instead? Would that be
I
like
consider that.
it's kind of
Yeah.
a double jam with him?
Yeah, I consider that. I wanted to kind of keep the R4 astromech because Iron Kraken being able to give
Yep.
out that red, I want to have him to not have his dial limited. So that's why I kind of left the R4 astromech on there. But I think Ion Torpedoes is definitely a good option for Wes. Or
You
even
could
Homing
also
Torpedo.
drop that R3 down to the R4 on Luke and then give him Malice as well. Oh no, you can't give
I
Malice
can't
because
can't
God
give
damn it.
Malice.
That's right, because
Yeah.
he's not Anakin. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for in my version. In my version, he can. So all right. Well, I think that's a pretty decent list. I think I don't know. I think it's something you should play with, JJ. I'll be honest with you. You can't mod snapshot and it only works at range 2. Those are the two things I hate about
Yeah.
it. Like, how about this? I hate that it's range 2. Especially for 9 points. I just feel that it's not as beneficial at the 9 points. But I mean, if you put snapshot on Luke, what happens?
Exactly.
I mean, you can put snapshot on Luke too. You just have snapshot on everybody.
That. You can also put foresight on Luke as well, but it's bullseye. But yeah, I did consider that as well for this list. So, and give me just a second. I'll be right back if you want to go ahead and transition.
All right. So for the last piece per se that we're going to do is we're going to cover Siege of Coruscant lists. So essentially the idea here is we talked a little bit last week about Siege of Coruscant. And what I wanted to do is another Academy 101 segment where we talk about list building for Siege of Coruscant. Essentially, we only have Republic and Separatist list build, and there's a reason why. We will probably build out more later, but for now, we will only be able to have the Republic and the Separatist list for the pure fact that we aren't going to be able to. I had a hard time building with the other lists right now because they don't get some of the perks that you get when you did the Battle of Yavin, that you could bring other ships in and it didn't have like a restriction. This one, for the Separatist player, you get 25 points, but the restriction is, with that being said, you can only regenerate SOC pilots. On the Republic side, you can only bring in, after round 2 or 3, Siege of Coruscant pilots. So it didn't really benefit me per se, at least when I was list building, to kind of go through that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just do the base level Siege of Coruscant lists and kind of go from there. If anybody has suggestions and wants to give us suggestions on other builds for other factions, we have a special tab in our Discord where you can go post your lists and we will review them and talk about them on the show. If we get enough user submitted lists, we'll do a whole segment on it. I didn't have, after this weekend, I didn't have the energy to try to build something for the most part outside of what we already had. So let's bring up our Separatist list here. The first list that we have, I went with all SOC pilots for the pure fact that you can bring them all back to life. So anything that is murdered is able to be brought back to life if it has the SOC caricature after that. If you remember right, the goal for the Republic is to try and ionize and get inside of the Invisible Hand to get Pelp and rescue him, which they should stop doing because it really does not benefit us in any way, shape, or form. But that's what they're trying to do, is essentially that. This list is DFS 81, the Holocron droid, both of them, one of them with ions, one of them with a Discord, to help try to kill that other pilot. Then we have the 2 bombers, the 404 and the 32. Then we have 2 Aflac droids. Then I have DSF or DIS 347. And then 1 Factoid bomber with homing missiles. So JJ, what do you think of this list?
Right. So yeah, I do like that particular list because you do have a lot of ground where you can send out a lot of these droids to cover the majority of the fields for this particular scenario, and be able to prioritize your attacks on the force carriers, which are the ones that the Republic needs to keep alive for this for them to win this particular scenario event. So having those tri fighters there as those pursuit fighters that can keep up with the Jedi ships, being backed up by the bombers, is actually a really good loadout. I like these. I like this particular setup a lot.
Yeah. So this was my attempt at, if you want to run it, and the reason I'm doing this is because if you want to run the way they built the scenario, like the true format of this is kind of how you would build it. Because technically you could add Dooku in, which we'll get to in a minute. But essentially, this is the version of, do you want to swarm without a commander based on how many cards and things that they gave you. So the second list that I have is not going to be only SOC ships. This one I added a DGS 286 to. And then I added the Iron Assembler. So the Iron Assembler is really just to help the droids live a little bit longer. And then the GGS 286 droid is, which I did not know this, but that TA 175 went down from 11 points to 8 points. I did not know this. Like, how did we miss this?
Is that the Pinata droid?
Yeah, that's the one. If somebody dies, you get they all get calculates. That's crazy, right? How did this go
really
down?
Good, actually.
I don't remember this going down.
Yeah, this went down. I want to say 2 updates ago. It went
really down. Did I miss it? I should be running this.
Yeah, it's really good. It's just I think because the carrier at 5 points wasn't really viable, we didn't see it as much. But yeah, definitely that is a fantastic tech droid to have for this particular list, just to be able to basically make everybody else better for the assault.
Yeah, and the best part about this is it gains a calculate. So even if you do a barrel roll calculate with the stress, you get another calculate. Yeah. This list right here is what when we play locally, this is the list I'm putting on the table, 100%.
Yeah,
and they have contingency protocol. You're right.
Yeah. Absolutely, like, Desi. Yeah.
This is really, so basically the only 2 ships that can't be regenerated is this DGS and the Iron Assembler. Yeah. And I have Grievous on here, which is very dirty in this format because, oh no, one of my other droids died. I get Grievous back. Like, oops. Oh, yeah. And my droid comes back next round. Oops. You know, like it's benefit all around. It's almost like they built these scenarios and forgot all these other upgrades exist.
Yeah, it's like I almost wish you had a talent slot so that we could put treacherous on your
that would be awful.
There. And that way you can guarantee that the Pinata droid goes off
every round. So oh my god, that would be horrible.
So good.
All right, so the next one that I built that I thought would be fun to fly is two belly rubs, one with Grievous and one with Seer. And I'm going to caveat this with Seer could change to that TV 80 whatever droid. You just can't run the shield upgrade then. That's all.
Which is
But
fine. I mean, you could.
But you know what you could do, JJ? You know what you could do? You want to know what's really dirty? You could put that T8 and then you could get a beta planing in there, right?
That's really good, actually.
And then you sacrifice the shield and you just take a reinforce every turn. Like, that's so dirty too. Like, oh my god.
That's good. Yeah, I like that actually. But yeah, I mean, this is really good too, right? Because you're feeding the rest of these droids over there, and you either have to go and deal with Grievous, who's going to be coming and flank you, or you got Seer, who's giving all these droids crack shot, and or you're taking strains with this particular tech droid. So good.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, and this one I went with mostly SOC stuff. Like, I think that Helicon droid could probably change with the ion missiles. Like, I don't know. And you could drop ND calcs on them, but to me, this was your ultra aggro. And if somebody wipes the Bactoid or the iron assembler off, so what? Who cares? I'm getting the other droids back, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. The next list is almost identical, except for it has Grievous, the Grievous in it. And then it has the let's see what it has Dooku in it instead. So I just swapped out stuff to have Dooku, basically. Because Dooku comes in the back.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that if you're able to regenerate Dooku, you can fly him much more aggressively. At I5 with Malice, it is really good, especially if you start off with the Scimitar title, starting off cloaked. You can decloak and do a 4 straight, and and you just get into their faces as soon as possible. It's just really good.
Yeah, so you cannot regenerate Dooku, though. You know that, right?
Oh, is it only the droids? Okay.
It's only stuff with contingency protocol on it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if you can regenerate Dooku,
that would be broken.
It would be broken. JJ's trying to give you broken lists here.
Yes.
But I just really I really actually genuinely think like that 32C, like while it's so far not shown to be good in standard, that jam action and the ability to use the plasma torpedoes if another droid dies is really, really good against some of these Republic ships. So the last one I built is just me memeing a little bit, and it's essentially 4 tri-fighters from the SOC pack, and then 3 droids from the SOC pack, 2 hyenas and 1 vulture. And this is basically just me saying, whatever you kill, if you kill a tri-fighter, it comes back because it has contingency protocol on it. So go ahead. I'm going to just do nothing but throw these effing tri-fighters at you. They're going to throw 3 dice. One of them has outmaneuver, by the way. One of them have afterburners and outmaneuver. I'm going to throw 4 of them at you. Go ahead. Kill it. Oh, it comes back next turn. Don't worry. It's good. I'm good.
Yeah, the only change I would make to this is dropping the 347 droid for 2 more regular vulture droids to have independent calculations. And the only reason for that is that you essentially provide that battery of calculates for T81 to have. And if you can set your debris clouds, because you get 3 debris clouds that you could deploy on the field, you can have those droids on those clouds, and that way T81 can be around that area to use those extra calculates. I think that would probably be a really good use of that.
All right. Now we're going to move into Republic lists. I did build a few Republic lists, actually probably more than I should have. But I built some Republic lists because I actually like Republic too. So the first one, and so let me caveat this. I'm going to caveat this. So the way Republic works is you get 20 points of ships, and then anything that has SOC on it can be brought in that round 3. So anything that has SOC on it can be brought in round 3, and essentially it's like, oh, hey, Merry Christmas, here you go. These get to come in. Now, the caveat is they have to be from the SOC pack, period, to bring those ships in. I will tell you that the majority of the time, I am using Anakin and Obi to do that. But the way this list works is you have a choice who you want to bring in. 90% of the lists I've built for Republic have Anakin Obi coming in at the end. Because it's also thematic.
Yeah.
Right? They don't show up right away. They show up mid-fight. So some of me likes that, but it's because they're 9 points. So like it gives me more list building room without them. For it. But this list here is strictly an SOC list. If you're running just the base scenario, this is how I would build it. Essentially, you have Jag, Click, Obi, Annie, Wolf, Contrail, and Oddball. You can pick 2 of the ships to come in at any time. It is a 28-point list, so essentially, they don't tell you have to be at 20 points, so technically you can pick 2 of any of these ships that equal 8 or more points and hold them back. So you could put Jag and Wolf in the back. You could put Oddball and Contrail in the back. You could put Click and Oddball in the back. Click and Anakin in the back. There's a bunch of them that you could put in the back. I would never put Click in the back, though. Like, I would always put him in the first run of ships, personally. But that's just me. But essentially, this list is designed to ionize, and then you have Jag and Oddball and Wolf to do large damage cleanup. That's what it is. They're there to pick the droids off before they get to shoot, and that's hence why I went with I-5 Tri-Fighters. Just so you know, because then they don't get to die before they get to shoot, unless Anakin gets them. So
That's true. Yeah.
Thoughts, JJ and E?
So I do like this list. Just having the flexibility of being able to choose which one you want to like swap out. I do think though that Oddball at 5 points, I don't know if he's necessarily a ship I would want to consider to put into this particular list there. I mean, for that, I'm actually leaning more towards having Wolf and Jag and Click, and then 3 other Z95 clone pilots.
But that
for
doesn't.
it.
So that's great, but you got to save that to the next one because this list is specifically SOC only.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
this one is designed to be SOC only.
Okay, I see where you're going. Yeah.
Yep. And that was again like the idea is I want to give everybody a way to play this without violating the rules. And now let's move into let's violate the rules. So as you can see here, I did not put oddball in here. As you can see, I have Jag, Wolf, Kickback, Click, Stub, Contrail, which was essentially Sean's list that has done very well, and then said, oh, why don't I give them Obi and Anakin? So here, JJ, is where you can make your comments on what you would change up.
Well, yeah, I definitely do like obviously the addition of Contrail on here. Contrail is definitely a very, very good option for this list. Being able to use the precise astromech to double mod its shots is super good. But again, oddball at 5 points there. It is a tank, but I feel under the continued barrage of all those vultures, it is really, really tough to justify having that much points in a single ship that could realistically only fire out the front most of the time, before it gets gunned down or gets critted. So it is tough.
Yeah. I don't know. So there's that one. The next one I built is a little bit skimpier. I do have the 3 arcs in play with Jag or with Click and Shakti. You could sub Shakti and Obi out and then bring Anakin and the other one back in. And so the idea with this one is you get Shakti as kind of a early onset ion cannon. You have Jag, Wolf, and Oddball to start killing things off, because they say you cannot bring these ships back until another round. It gives you the ability to get like an aggressive alpha strike out front, and then bring your other Adas in to kind of say, hey, let me help you. Just a little bit different. Take again a little bit more AC play is going to be this one, but I feel this one is, to me, is going to say, hey, do you want to go for the ion mechanic? That's what this one is trying to accomplish. I have everybody up front being out to try to take as many droids off the board as you can, and then bring everything in the background to do the ionization for them.
Yeah, I definitely like this particular theme for this one, because Shakti also being able to use the Force for her ability, being able to coordinate 2 of the Siege of Coruscant ships, or the clones, I should say, the born for this, and being able to give them those extra mods so that way they can share it between all of them, is actually really, really good. I like it a lot.
All right. The next list is completely off the rails. This is with Click, Contrail, Oddball, and a Y-Wing with ion cannon, ion torpedoes, and hot shot gunner, baby, to strip those things. Then broadside with ion cannon and ion torpedoes and R3. Then Wolf with ion missiles and ion bombs. And Jag and Anakin.
I like it a lot. This is definitely like going after the objective a lot, being to put on those ions so that way you can put in as much damage as possible. The only change I would make is on Tarkin, probably swapping out the bombs probably for the R3 astromech on Tarkin. Tarkin's abilities, you're able to, as long as you have a target lock on an enemy, which you can put on, like, let's say the objective if you wanted to, or a particular ship that you want to take off the board. You can pass that particular target lock to one of your other ships so that way they can take a shot as well. I think that's probably the better call for Tarkin. But beyond that, yeah, this is really good.
Yeah. This is the one I want to run right here, just so you know, because this is so silly and memey. Like, it's like ion. If you cannot win with this, I don't know what will. Like, to me, this is like, you can go in and this is like, I don't care about your droids. I'm literally just going to drop a bunch of ion shit everywhere. And your droids will never be able to take calculates again. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I'm going to take Contrail right in with that and Wolf, and I'm just going to put them on either side of that stupid objective token thing. Drop an ion bomb, one bank or one hard, drop another ion bomb, and boom, I've just ionized this for everybody to come in and shoot it. Just crazy.
Yeah.
So then I decided, Then I decided that I wanted to do one with a dual lat because I'm a glutton for punishment. And I figured the lat helps with the rerolls. So I have Warthog with dedicated to help them all live. Hondo, because Hondo needs to be in this scenario. even though he was not at that battle, we don't know if he was like hiding, stealing cargo somewhere. Agile Gunner, Seventh Fleet, and Synchronized Council. And yes, Warthog will work in this list because I get 2 Loyalist volunteers, which I could subcontract out for a third Loyalist volunteer. Both with ion bombs, so they live no matter what for that turn. And then Contrail, Sicko with Wolfpack. By the way, Wolfpack is insane in this list. Wolfpack is such a good upgrade for this thing. And I don't know, JJ, do you know what Wolfpack does?
Yeah, it after a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 defense, if the attacker is in the firing arc of the ship that has Wolfpack, the defender may gain a strain token to acquire lock on the attacker. It's definitely a good way to set yourself up for follow-up shots from the rest of your list there.
Yep.
However, I gotta say, I after seeing it a few times on Hexiled, I like the combination on Sicko of multi missile pods with C3PO
All right.
because
Yep.
you can do the double calculate with 3PO, and that still gives you the option to have to shoot with multi missile pods, which in this particular objective you have a plethora of different like targets where you can target with multi missile pods and potentially shoot a 4 or 5 die shot with multi missile pods from a lat and still have the rerolls to back it up as well. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with you. Um, and I think that might actually just be the better Sicko to go with, to be honest with you. Which at that point, then you could switch out Hondo for Wolfpack, right? Oh no, you can't because you can't have Agile Gunner.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could do that. I think you're right. Maybe you still do that anyway because it makes it a little bit more of an aggro list.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then is this your build for the last one?
Yeah, this is kind of like what I was talking about here. So obviously, Anakin and Obi-Wan will be the ones that I would send off to the side to come in later. Then your standard build out of Wolf, Jag, and Click to go in there. I think they just pair very well together. Contrail, very solid option for the ions, being able to have that ion bomb there and having the position astromech to double mod Contrail shots at initially or at 3 points. Very, very good. That leaves you 6 points to add in. I put in Hawk to help give the boost to all of these ships, and then Stub to go in there. Now, the combo for this is Jag with the rest of these ships. Jag can acquire a lock once Wolf or a Contrail shoots at a particular ship. Then he can use Synchronized Console to pass it on to Hawk to shoot off the cluster missile, and then they can fire control off of that lock and then pass it on. I actually meant to put Synchronized instead of munitions failsafe. And then pass it on to Stub, who also should have Synchronized instead of munitions failsafe to get that missile off again, and then pass it right back to Jag after all that's done. It is just a really great way to mod all your shots across the board, across all these initiative threes. If you can set it up correctly, you can get one shot at cluster missiles at the objective, and then another one at possibly a droid around that area to maximize your firepower with all these ships.
Yeah. So are you bringing Annie and Obi in at the end? Is that who your like choices
Yeah.
are to bring in?
Yeah, those
Okay.
would be my choices. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Which makes sense. And again, I think unfortunately, I think that's how they designed the scenario is like just take these
Yeah.
2.9 point ships that are gonna die pretty easily. And at the end. Um, I don't know. I like it. I actually like that take on that one quite a bit. Um, and I think I would test this one out as well. I own the ships to be able to do that. So I think I think I could come up and play that one as well. Um, so
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I haven't had the chance to play this as of yet. But I'm excited to play this scenario whenever I get the time to try this out. This was definitely a really fun pack. They have a lot of great pilots, and I think that AMG did a really good job at least designing the scenario. I know that there was some issues with the print for some of for this and Hot Shots and Aces pack, but as far as the scenario design as well for a lot of these pilots, I think they did a really good job.
I agree. And So here's the deal. We have 3 weeks between here and the new year. We really do. We are possibly going to stream some games of JJ and I. And again, it all depends on JJ's schedule um with his kids and his work and stuff like that in the holidays. But now that JJ lives with his relatives, it might be a little bit easier because it's just like he can do the holidays and never have to go home because he's already at home. And then he could just go upstairs and play games with me. Um, and Charles has officially stated that after the 18th of December, he will have more free time to hang out. Um, I would really like to get, yeah, maybe even get Matt back or John or somebody and do like a 4-on-4 live stream of one of these or two of these scenarios, in the next couple of weeks where we can just have fun, just chill out, have fun. I know we're prepping for Kyber Cup and I hate to say it, I really hate to say it because I really want to play these scenarios. I really do. But I think unless I go with the list that I've been flying for Kyber Cup, I'm gonna have to prep for that. But if I choose that list, we may just like play a few more of these scenarios during the week. I know during the week of Christmas and the week after Christmas, I'm on call that week, but I have like nobody on my team but two other people are working. So there's literally three of us. So there will be plenty of time, even during the day, to stream and play games and all of that. If you would like to join us in playing one of these, and there are certain days in the last 2 weeks of the year that you can play, either send us a message on Discord or post in the list building threads that, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'll be able to play on these specific days at these times. We will happily we will happily try to find as much as we can to stream. Otherwise, what we'll do next week is we're just going to post a bunch of times and days that JJ and I commit to. That you can join us, and our goal is to have so if we do a stream for 2 hours with one of these new scenarios, we want at least 2 other people to play with us. And I'll tell you what, if we get 6 people that want to play on that day, JJ and I will just commentate and let you all play. We could do that too. So if you want to be a part of these scenarios, which we're very excited to play, and I don't care what my locals do, I guarantee you I will find somebody to play these with. Especially the Siege of Coruscant stuff. I really am excited to put that on the table and play that. Well, thank you all for coming on the journey with us today. We had a great time. If you would like to continue to submit lists for list building challenges or critiques or discussions, we have a list building community thread inside of our Discord. You're welcome to post them in. I know Fly and Mighty had mentioned one earlier, but I never saw the link for it. So Fly and Mighty, either jump into our Discord or message JJ and I, and we will put you on next week. If we get enough lists, we'll do this every week. I don't care. How about this? If I get one list, I will do this every week, no matter what. And I will not let JJ put a bunch of his own lists in there. I will just do the list, one. Dude. No, you had 7. You had 7. I told you only were allowed 1. But anyway, if you would like to do the listings, that is a segment that we really do like, and I would do that every week, 100%, every week. So, all right. With that being said, thank you all for joining us. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week, either with Nickel City X-Wing games or next Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern time.